Greetings and welcome to our neighborhood. My name is Atwan. The mess you see here is a project of mine that I've been working on. What I'm trying to get at is this is a data science project that I've come up with, which is basically when I was a teacher, I kept grades. I still have some grades, and my final exams were always cumulative. Um, so um, it reflected their overall knowledge of like the whole course as long as I'm tested correctly. And then these are the scores that each student got. Like this first student got these scores, and this student got these scores. Anyway, the first score is the final exam, which was cumulative and tested their overall knowledge of the class. And I wanted to basically predict that what their final exam score is based on all this other data. Okay, all of it: quizzes, homework, midterms. And actually, I realized that this could also possibly be useful in cancer detection in certain situations. Um, what I'm going to do is assign a bias to each of these. Like the column represents quiz one, okay, column or midterm one, whatever. I don't remember how I set it up. I think the first two columns are midterm one, midterm two, and then the rest are either homework or quizzes. So I'm going to assign a bias to this entire column from, and there's different ways to assign bias, but I've experimented with this, and right now I'm working on a bias that's between 0 and 1 inclusive, where all the biases add up to a 1. Therefore, this is like a grading rubric, where if there's 0 in if one of these columns gets 0, that means it did not predict the final exam. If one column gets a lot of high, what we're trying to do is maximum, given a variable bias, say there's so many scores, you know, we have like a bias vector. The first element of the vector is applied to this column, which is like midterm one, and then this column will have a different bias, and the total biases will add up to 1. That's like saying that the rubric has to add up to 100%, basically. And what I sought to do is create like a synthetic score from these columns using the bias that is variable. Okay, so I get a have a phantom score. That's the bias vector dotted with a column. That's what it is, I think. And I actually got some results doing this. What I came up with is that there actually is a way to predict what they would get on the final exam based on other scores, which is the other columns, this, and it actually stands further. Because I had a lot of quizzes and midterms and stuff. Now, these are only students who finished the whole course and took the final. I eliminated all cases where the student did not take the final, and that was many. The attrition rate was not good in that scenario. And so let's try to run this in real time. Because I just manually inputted their scores. Trying to run this cell here. And there we go. And then data matrix form is what we just looked at. And I've added up now, and the length is 30. So data 1, 30. That must mean there's 30 students. And then data 1, 1 is vector. So I'm trying to maximize the correlation between the synthetic score from a biased uh, weighted average of other scores. So in classification type problems like biopsies, um, we'll have all these scores that are going to be 0 or 1, or perhaps a number of some kind, like glucose level in the morning or whatever, all kinds of numbers, white blood cell count, anything that's relevant to cancer detection. And what we want to do is find a synthetic score so with a variable set of biases, maximize the correlation between, like, your score on the final, or in cancer detection, that it's 1 if there is cancer, it's 0 if there's not cancer, or perhaps a probability is given of cancer. And I don't need to run these. This was just to help me set up, and it's using a conjugate here, right here. Now these are all going to be real numbers, so the conjugate should go away for real numbers. For a real number, R conjugate is equal to R. Okay, only complex numbers don't use their own conjugate. Kind of redundant. And then I'm gonna skip ahead here. I might need that, so I'll run this out. And get on. It's still 30. And what's this? I don't know. I don't know what F is doing. So here, maximize synthetic scores. Try it again. It's already finished. So it's 0.74. It says the maximum. Let me add some constraints here. I want S1 plus S2 plus S3 plus S4 plus S5 plus S6 plus S7 plus S8 plus S9 plus S10 plus S11 plus S12. There are 12 scores in the course of the final, and we want this. I would like to add more constraints like each of these. I'm not sure. Let's see what it comes up with. Objective. Oh, I misspelled something. This is PCF plus. I'll look right beside that. I got an error message. That's what I was responding to. I'm going to save this as level. So I'm actually getting some negative numbers. Like score 6 is a negative 0.1 here. I think that means that it was anti-predictive. In other words, a higher score on score 6 would mean they probably get a lower score on the final. I think I want to constrain each of these. How do I best do that? Start doing it for all of them. Variables between 0 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. S5, if you will, S4, and S3, and S2. That should work. Mathematica crashes, which it rarely does. It's like one of the most stable programs I've ever used. Mathematica is more stable than Windows. But Mathematica has very specialized functions. Now that's taking it a while. Interesting. I wonder if we're trying to maximize. So this has to do with the correlation F. Let's see what F did. Okay, so yeah, refine. What does refine do? AD now. Okay. Gives the form expression that would be obtained if symbols were replaced by explicit numerical values. Okay. All right. So yeah. So I'm looking at correlation. I don't know why I put refine in there. I might not do. We went through all that. So what is left equation? And I guess I built a way to just like go to do what I described earlier. It's like a stroke of like a bump in IQ. I don't remember how it came up. It took a while to come up with stuff. So it is actually related to the correlation. By the way, score 2 gets mapped on to S. So like score 12, 12. Just make it shorter. With an answer of 0.66, correlation is maximized at these numbers. I want to chop everything off. So chop 2 equals chop of chop 2 of x defined to be chop of x, and which is 1,000. And now I'm gonna go ahead and apply chop 2 to that result. It'll have to think about it again. Remember what it already did. It should run as it's like a very similar command. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know if it's actually going to chop small numbers off. You might have noticed one was times 10 to the negative 11 or whatever. That's basically 0. It means nothing. It's the predicted value of the static score. This bar on the right, the other bars here, please the cell, and the one that gets a gold bar is when it's running right now, or it means a lot of you can. Right now, I have this cell running, going along. I don't know if I formatted it correctly. I wanted to chop extra digits away, so if it was below 10 to the negative 3, we would make it 0. Okay, good. We got a result now. Score 1, midterm 1, I think, had 0 predictive influence on what they did on the final. The second midterm, if you look at all the coefficients that are there, this is by far the biggest one, 0.51. Compared to the others, they were around 0.02 or 0.2. Score 10 was pretty much they were in there. So many scores, though, that were zeros. I think it means it's a waste of class time to do class. You know, because several of these scores have no predictive value on the final. So what I would probably do is cut out quizzes and homework. I'd tell them which one I want them to do, and spend like first third of the class talking about the past homework they generated from the textbook. Basically, they each fill out a 3x5 card, with or without their own name on it, doesn't matter, with questions, and then I go through all the 3x5 cards. That's one way to do it. Or I'll just take questions on homework. I'll give them all ones so they can look it up and back. And so yeah, 0.68 correlation is pretty high. That means there's a strong connection that's linear, assuming all of this is true. Okay. And Bob is not your uncle. Everything that was less than 10 to the negative 3 and a half is valid. That's what the coin top says. So we need to tear the party number and if it's smaller than this threshold, it will make it zero. If I tuned it up to put like a 30 there, nothing comes off at all. I guess that's it.